Influencers tried to pressure me into paying $115. I refused. The smell of burnt coffee beans and diesel exhaust filled my car as I inched forward in the Starbucks drive-thru, my 2012 Honda Civic rattling with the impatience of a dying engine. It was 8 a.m. on a Wednesday. All I wanted was a black coffee. No syrup, no foam, no Venti nonsense. Just $5 of caffeine to jumpstart my brain before I had to deal with 8 hours of spreadsheets. Ahead of me was a glistening white Range Rover. The kind that costs more than my annual salary. The driver, a woman with oversized sunglasses and a blowout that defied gravity, was leaning out the window, handing a credit card to the barista. She was taking a long time. Too long. I tapped my fingers on the steering wheel. Tap. 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 Finally, the Rover pulled forward. It didn't leave, though. It pulled into a parking spot just past the drive-thru window, angling itself so the driver had a clear view of the pickup area. Weird. I pulled up to the window. The barista, a young guy named Kevin with a nose ring and a look of permanent exhaustion, leaned out. He was smiling. It was a forced, customer service smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Good morning," Kevin chirped. "You're not going to believe this. Your order has been paid for." I blinked. "It has?" "Yes. The lady ahead of you wanted to start a pay-it-forward chain. Isn't that sweet?" I looked at the Range Rover. The woman was watching me. She was holding her phone up, recording. "Sweet," I muttered. "Well, thanks." I reached for my coffee. Kevin pulled it back slightly. "So, would you like to keep the chain going?" The trap. The social contract trap. "The order behind you," Kevin said, gesturing to the massive conversion van looming in my rearview mirror. "Their total is, let me check." He tapped the screen. $115. My jaw dropped. $115? Yeah. Kevin laughed nervously. "Big order. 10 frappuccinos, a bunch of sandwiches. But hey, it's good karma, right?" I looked in my mirror. The van behind me was packed. I could see at least 6 teenagers inside. The driver, a kid who looked maybe 17, was holding a DSLR camera pointed right at my car. The passenger was holding a phone, also recording. They were filming. I looked back at the Range Rover. The woman was filming. I looked at the van. The kids were filming. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't random kindness. It was a setup. The woman in the Rover pays $5 for my coffee. She guilts me into paying $115 for the van. The van gets a free feast. They film my reaction, either the generous hero or the cheap jerk, and post it on TikTok as a social experiment. I felt the heat rising in my neck, a prickly, suffocating sensation that started at my collarbone and crawled up behind my ears. They were using me. They were banking on my social anxiety to fund their content. 115. I repeated. "It's a lot," Kevin admitted, his smile faltering. "You don't have to." No, I said, a slow, cold smile spreading across my face. "I want to. It's a beautiful thing, paying it forward." Kevin brightened. "Really? That's amazing. You're awesome, man. Put it on this," I said. I reached into my wallet. I pulled out a Starbucks gift card. It was an old one. I knew exactly how much was on it because I had checked the balance yesterday before deciding to pay cash instead. 75 cents. "Here." I handed it to him. "But listen, Kevin. I need a favor." "Anything." Kevin beamed, taking the card. "I need a receipt," I said, leaning out the window. "For the donation. For tax purposes. Can you print me a receipt showing I paid the full $115? Just so I can file it?" Sure," Kevin said, turning to the register. "I can print a receipt once the transaction clears." "Great. Go ahead and run it." I watched him swipe the card. Kevin turned his back to me to fiddle with the printer. The POS system beeped. He ignored it, probably assuming it was just a printer error or a lag. He was focused on getting the paper rolled to feed. While he was distracted, I reached into my cup holder. I had a $20 bill. My coffee money for the week. I dropped it into the tip jar on the ledge. "For you," I whispered. Kevin spun around, hearing the rustle of cash. He looked at the tip jar. He looked at me. His eyes went wide. "Whoa," he said. "Dude, $20? Thank you. You're working hard." I smiled. "And dealing with complicated orders." The POS beeped again. Louder this time. A red error box flashed on the screen. Insufficient funds. Kevin frowned. "Oh, wait. Sir? The card. Receipt?" I asked, holding out my hand. "No, the card declined," Kevin said, looking confused. "It says insufficient funds." "Really?" I feigned shock. "That's weird. It should have plenty. Try it again." "Okay," Kevin said, swiping it again. "Maybe the mag stripe is dirty." While he swiped, I looked at the van in the rearview mirror. The kids were leaning out the windows now, cameras rolling, excitement building. They thought I was paying. They thought the delay was just me adding a tip or signing a receipt. They were about to get the content they wanted, just not the kind they expected. "Still declining," Kevin said, handing the card back. "Sorry, man. Do you have another card?" "Shoot," I said, checking my wallet. "I don't. That was my coffee budget." "Oh," Kevin's face fell. "Well, I guess we can't do the chain then." "I guess not," I said. "Bummer. I really wanted to help those kids out." I grabbed my black coffee, the one the lady ahead had paid for, from the counter. "Thanks for the coffee, Kevin," I said. "And hey, keep the 20. You earned it." Kevin looked at the tip jar. He looked at the screen with the $115 balance still pending. He looked at me. He realized what I had done. He realized I had tipped him instead of buying lunch for a van full of influencers. A slow grin spread across his face. A real one this time. "You have a great day, sir," Kevin said, giving me a nod. I put the car in gear. I didn't drive away fast. I drove slowly. Deliberately. I rolled past the van. The driver, the kid with the camera, was beaming at me. He gave me a thumbs up. He thought I had paid. I rolled down my window. I held up my coffee cup. "Thanks for the drink," I shouted. Then I held up the receipt. Not the receipt for their food. The receipt for my coffee, which Kevin had handed me earlier. "Enjoy the bill," I yelled. The kid's smile vanished. He looked confused. I drove past the parking spot where the Range Rover was waiting. The woman was still filming. She tracked my car as I exited the drive-thru. She looked at the van. She looked at me. She realized I was leaving without the fanfare. She realized the chain was broken. I turned onto the main road. But I didn't leave. I pulled into the gas station across the street. I parked. I had a perfect view of the drive-thru exit. I waited. It took about 3 minutes. I saw Kevin leaning out the window, talking to the driver of the van. He was shaking his head. He was gesturing to the register. The kid in the driver's seat looked panicked. He turned to the passengers. There was arguing. Arms waving. They didn't have the money. They expected a free ride. They probably didn't even bring wallets because the social experiment relied on the stranger paying. The kid pointed at the Range Rover. Kevin looked at the Range Rover. The woman in the Rover saw them pointing. She realized the gig was up. She realized she was the failsafe. If the stranger didn't pay, the organizer, her, would have to cover it to save the video. But she didn't want to pay $115 either. She wanted a viral moment for $5. I saw the reverse lights of the Range Rover flare white. She backed out of the spot. Fast. She peeled out of the parking lot, cutting off a sedan, and sped away down the street. She abandoned them. The kids in the van watched her go. Their mouths were open. Kevin was still leaning out the window. He wasn't smiling anymore. He was crossing his arms. The line behind the van was honking. The kids started scrambling. They were digging in pockets. They were checking the glove box. Finally, the driver handed Kevin a card. Kevin swiped it. He shook his head. Declined. He handed it back. The driver handed him a phone. Apple Pay? Maybe. Kevin shook his head again. They were stuck. Eventually, I saw the driver hand Kevin a watch. A literal wristwatch. And the passenger handed over a pair of sunglasses. Kevin took them. He disappeared inside. A minute later, he came back with 2 massive bags of food. He handed them over. He let them pay with collateral. Or maybe he just pitted them. The van drove off, defeated. No cheering. No high fives. Just a slow roll of shame. I sat in my car, sipping my free black coffee. It tasted like justice. I checked Reddit later that day. I searched for Pay It Forward Fail. Nothing yet. But then I checked TikTok. I searched for Starbucks Challenge. I found a video posted an hour ago by a user named prankking_99. It showed the setup. It showed the Range Rover woman paying. It showed me pulling up. But the video cut abruptly when I handed Kevin the card. The caption read, "Social experiment gone wrong. Cheap guy ruins the vibe. Part 2 coming soon." I commented. User_coffee guy. I didn't ruin the vibe. I tipped the barista $20. You guys tried to scam me for a $115 lunch. Nice watch, by the way. Did Kevin like it? My comment got 500 likes in 10 minutes. Then, the video was deleted. Account prankking_99 went private. I went back to Starbucks the next morning. Kevin was there. "Hey!" Kevin shouted when he saw me. "Man, you are a legend. What happened?" I asked. "They didn't have cash." Kevin laughed. "The kid tried to give me his Apple Watch. I told him I can't accept barter. My manager came over. She told them if they didn't pay, she was calling the cops for theft of service because the food was already made. So what did they do? They called their mom." Kevin grinned. "The mom had to give her credit card over the phone. She was screaming at them so loud I could hear it through the speaker. Apparently that was her credit card they were using for the content budget, and she didn't authorize a $100 lunch." "Nice," I said. "And hey," Kevin lowered his voice. "The owner saw the security footage. He saw you tip the 20. He said your coffee is free for the month." "Really?" "Yeah. He hates those TikTok kids. They hold up the line." I drove away with another free coffee. Some people say you should always pay it forward. Some people say kindness is its own reward. But I say, if you try to monetize kindness, you better be ready for the bill. And if you try to scam a guy before he's had his morning caffeine, you deserve everything you get. So tell me, am I the monster for breaking the chain and leaving a bunch of teenagers stranded at the window, or did I just teach them the most valuable lesson of all? There is no such thing as a free lunch?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.